Hello, everybody. My name is Benjamin Bloom. We are back live once again. Please let yourself be known if you're in the chat. Let me know everything is working okay. It is game week number 2 of 46. It will fly by, I promise you, for the championship. A lot has happened. I do not want this to turn into another transfer window roundup type thing because I did a huge long one of those yesterday, but predictions and the like are going to be seriously coloured by the fact that there could be as many as 30 or 40 debutants across the games, across the division tomorrow. Absolutely chaotic day yesterday in the championship. Loads and loads and loads of new people to talk about. So I will have to mention that in all of the appraisals. Hello to Thomas. Make yourself known in the chat. Help me out with my predictions. Charlie, yes, I am going to watch Norwich tonight. Although if, as an Ipswich fan, watching Norwich tonight goes anything I think it will do, they'll probably play beautiful football and beat Liverpool, and I'll just quit watching football forever. But there you go. So yeah, I'm going to go and have a curry and watch Norwich around the corner in a minute. Anyway, we are here to talk about the championship, which means that we start at the top as always, and our early leaders are Leeds United. I forgot how fun it was watching Leeds. I was at their game at Bristol City last Sunday. They were absolutely fantastic, and it's Leeds v Forest. I think it's the early kickoff. I'm not going to this one. I'm going to Fulham tomorrow to check them out. Get your predictions in. Leeds versus Forest. Leeds off the back of a convincing win, as I say, to Bristol City. And Forest lost at home, didn't they, to West Brom on opening day. Draw, home win coming in the feed there. The big one in for Leeds, help me out with the pronunciation. Eddie Nkata, I think I'll get someone to help me out with the pronunciation of that as we go. That was the big in for Leeds on loan. Bielsa really streamlining this squad. Lots of people out. I had a look. First team for Nketiah. Nketiah. Thank you, the guys in the chat. Now, I was having a look at the Leeds outs, and you can safely say that these players would have been starters at the start of last season. Saïs gone, Peacock Farrell gone, Roof gone, Janssen gone, Clark sold but back on loan. Bielsa wants a small squad. Let's hope they stay clear of injuries. Interested to see Nketiah, who Ian Wright, no less, says is going to be a goal machine. I think Nketiah, even this is going to be fun. We'll get it right as the season goes on. Ewan says 0-0. Forest have added Jenkinson at right back. Matt Cash was playing right back, so they needed a right back in there. Interesting keeper issue at Forest as well. Muric came in on loan from Man City. Poor debut. They signed Samba for a fee, so I guess Muric is back up straight away after only one game. Chama, the Spanish centre-half, arrived, and the much once vaunted John Bostock, who caused Simon Jordan to have virtually an aneurysm when he was at Palace, has gone in there. Who knows how them... Muric apparently still number one, says Cod King in the chat. I still have my 2-year rule in the championship that if you build over 2 years, you tend to be better than most of the teams that build over one. Forest just seem to do this every year. Lamouchi has said that Muric is still number one. I stand corrected on that. Let's see how he goes tomorrow. Then I've got to back Leeds on the basis that Forest have bought loads in. Leeds, for all of their sales, you're still going to see the majority. It will be Casilla and Dallas waiting for Ayling to get back, and Cooper. How good was that Brighton guy, White, last week as well? He slid in nicely. Douglas was already there. Phillips was already there. Klitsch was already there. Who's the other Leeds centre midfielder? Guy from Middlesbrough, whose name I've forgotten. Forshaw was already there. Harrison, he'll bring them in, and I just think Forest are going to take a few weeks to settle. New manager, new team. So let's go for a home win. I think Leeds are going to have 6 points out of 6. Remember, all my predictions come with the caveat that the Championship is ridiculous. Cod King says Forest tend to do better against big teams. Look at last year. Ewan says Forest will be mid-table. Anything can happen. Let's back Leeds on that one. Sheffield Wednesday versus Barnsley. Both teams made great start last week. Wednesday, get your predictions in down the side. Sheffield Wednesday at home to Barnsley in the Yorkshire derby there. Wednesday beat Reading, and Barnsley beat a very heavily stacked Fulham team. Stephen going for Wednesday, Cod King going for Wednesday, Thomas clearly going for Barnsley. Wednesday added Luongo in yesterday. We've got lots of love for Wednesday. Don't worry, eco-terrorists, will be done before the Norwich game starts. 2-0 Wednesday, 4-0 Wednesday. Goodness me, lots of love for Wednesday here. Luongo is a perfect Championship signing, just under £1 million. Ben not going to the Leeds game. We might actually win. I was at Leeds, Alex. The curse is over. I was there last week. It's a myth perpetuated by Sheffield United fans. There is no curse on Leeds. Luongo, perfect Championship signing there. Jack C says Barnsley will surprise people. I do agree with that as well. I'm already, I think I had Barnsley like 6th bottom. I'm already rejigging that in my head, I think. Murphy came in as well yesterday. Josh Murphy, Jacob Murphy, whichever one plays for Newcastle, came in there, which means Steve Bruce must have sanctioned that one, which will be quite amusing. So good business by Wednesday, really, given that the entire spend is under £1 million there. I think their fans wanted Hector, but there's been some stuff going on with Fulham and Michael Hector, so I don't know what's going to happen there. They've raised £5 million as well, which probably should go a long way to getting Hector if they did want him in January, but I think there's going to be other suitors. Barnsley have now signed 12 players. I like the look of the 3 off the front last week, Wilkes, Barra and Thomas, and they look really pacey and look really at it against Fulham. Oh dear, difficult one. I don't want to go against Barnsley every week, but I think Wednesday, it's got to be a draw or a Wednesday win. I don't think Barnsley are going to go there and win, but like the chat says, I think they might surprise a few. I just like Wednesday's business. Very solid, experienced Championship team. Let's go for Wednesday by 1 goal in this one and leave Bullen to have a good start. That said, I am very interested in watching Barnsley. Thomas says I'll get shocked. I'm prepared for that to be the truth. I remember hearing Daniel Stendel speaking and I'm like, oh, I've heard David Wagner and Daniel Farke speaking before. And is this the 3rd German manager to surprise us all in the Championship? Let's find out. But let's go for Wednesday this week and I'll hopefully get to see a bit more of Barnsley as I go. Preston versus Wigan. Get your predictions in down the side here. Preston at home to Wigan. Wigan, great win over newly relegated Cardiff this past week. 2-2 says Liam. Kiefer Moore arriving in for Wigan yesterday. Presumably he leads the line ahead of one of my favourite players, Joe Garner there. Tom Pearce comes in from Leeds. He'll likely be back up. 2-1 Preston, 3-1 Wigan, 2-0 Preston. This one's very mixed, isn't it? Preston pretty quiet, but I think they did all their business early, not the general level of crazy there. I like that. I like long plans with just a few players added rather than 20 players in and 20 players out. Not to say that that can't work. For God's sake, look at Norwich last year. It worked pretty well there. Very mixed in the chat here. Preston generally strong at home. Wigan generally weak away. Preston off to a bad start. Let's back Preston in this one. Preston for the win over Wigan, I think. Even though Wigan do start well, I'm already questioning myself. There we go. Right, predictions in Charlton versus Stoke. First game back at the Valley in the Championship here. Charlton, great start at Blackburn. Everyone's waiting for Stoke to blow up, aren't they? They lost at home to QPR. 0-0's come in. The curse of the Stoke draw. A couple of people think Charlton are going to win. Lots of people think Charlton are going to win according to the feed. Where am I looking? Sorry, I missed out Derby. I'll come back to Derby next. Remind me if I don't do that. Charlton winning up at Blackburn. Dyke Steele has gone out to Borough, but massively busy yesterday. Charlton, Jonathan Lako, Sam Fielding, both from West Brom. Cullen, who was already there last year, that makes perfect sense for Charlton there. Kayal, who was a very good player for Brighton a couple of years ago before they went up. Well, someone tell me in the chat, were Brighton up for 2 seasons in the Premier League? They were, weren't they? So I remember Kayal being very good for Brighton. So interesting. Yeah, Liam says big upgrades. Charles, who's got West Brom in his name, says Sam Field, great player. Sam Field did really well to break into a really experienced West Brom first team squad last year. So looking forward to watching him as well. Physical looking midfielder as well, Sam Field. Saw him play West Brom QPR last year, first time I saw him. Surprised that he managed to break into that squad. Stoke are just going for the Championship proven guys. Mark Duffy, who the Blades fans will love. I guess if he continues midfield diamond, Duffy plays number 10. Cameron Carter-Vickers, who I know about as an Ipswich fan, he's been on like 4 or 5 loans now into the Championship. That's a lie, isn't it? It's 3. This will be his 4th. There you go, I was right. Scott Hogan as well, the go-to guy, and they've let Benik Afobe go out. Nathan Jones got to get this working at Stoke now. Hell of a lot of money dropped last season, and I don't know about you guys watching in the feed. I just don't like to see 10 players in, 10 players out, 6 players in, 6 players out. I like to see 3 or 4 in, build it up, 3 or 4 in. You know, that many, a maximum every transfer window if 1 or 2 are going out. So Stoke have got a job, and I think Nathan Jones comes under pressure if we get up to 10 games and he's not in the top half. Stoke should be higher looking at their squad. That said, difficult game away at Charlton. I agree with the comment that said they've upgraded their midfield. Let's go for player power here. Let's go for a draw. Stoke to pull one out of the bag just on pure star power. I needed to go back to Derby versus Swansea because I've missed them out. Predictions in down the side. Derby versus Swansea. I saw Derby on Monday night in the flesh under Philip Koku for the first time. They looked nicely organised. Tom Lawrence did carry them for about 30 minutes. He was utterly brilliant for half an hour of that game. Lawrence. Swansea haven't seen. They've brought in a few extra options in attack for Steve Cooper. Surridge on loan from Bournemouth. He's not proven at Championship level yet. And Kalulu on loan as well. Should be technically a very good game. Should be a patient game. I'd like to see Christian Bielik going in for Derby at some point. Don't know whether he's replacing Huddleston or Evans. You'd think Bielik and Evans, no real deep line playmaker in there. Miles says Bielik won't be ready, so maybe we'll expect Huddleston and Evans in there in deep central midfield. I think Derby are going to win this one. I think Lawrence is going to go, or Miles says, Koku says Bielik's a week or so behind, so maybe we'll see him. In fact, I'll be at Derby West Brom on August the 24th, so look out for that one. Sigurd says Derby 3-2. I think I'm going to back Derby in this one. They've also brought in Jamie Patterson as well. They've got a bit of strength in depth off the front as we all wait for Mr. Wayne Rooney in January. I think Derby might well be definitely in the top 8 by January. May well be in the top 6 as well. We'll see how Koku gets it. Looked a bit less fluid than Lampard, but the team shape looks strong and they really battled out. And if Lawrence keeps up that form and the consistency, maybe he'll become the player that we expect his upside could be. I'm going for Derby home win in that one. Let's move on with QPR versus Huddersfield. Michaels in there very early saying QPR 3-1 in the feed. Get your predictions in the feed. QPR Huddersfield, as I said, I saw Huddersfield on Monday night. Looks like they've got some good players here, but one of them has gone, Aaron Moy, who's an extremely good player, and Trevor Chalobah. Lots of draws in the feed here in this one. Trevor Chalobah, who I saw all season at Ipswich. I really like Trev. He had a nightmare playing in that terrible Ipswich team last year. He's going to be really good, but he's no Aaron Moy. So it looks like somewhat of a downgrade there in that playmaker position. That said, they look like they had a lot of threat down the sides with Pritchard. Diakabi is one of the quickest players you'll see in the league, and Benza made his debut. I like the industry of Bakuna as well. A lot of players, if you look, who have signed for big money, 8 million, 10 million, even more. QPR started really, really well. Hugel, the big loan acquisition, scoring. Eze, we want a big season from him. Naki Wells reprises his loan move from last year. I think I'm going to sit on the fence and go with the feed, assuming that QPR haven't quite clicked yet into the Warburton style, despite winning at Stoke last year and Huddersfield's star power. Shall we go for a draw for this one? Maybe QPR might nick it. That would be a really bad start for Huddersfield, wouldn't it? West Brom versus Millwall. Get your thoughts in the feed. If Baggies break down Millwall's defence, it could be a rout. Millwall pretty good, though, last year at holding the low block. They managed to have that system to them. A couple of snicky away wins there. Both teams starting with them last week. West Brom's game looked tight. So did Millwall's, actually. They squeezed past Preston, didn't they? 2-0 West Brom, 2-0 also in the feed. Their big day in the transfer window for Baggies. Look like they've got a lot of options up front now. Charlie Austin has got to be guaranteed goals at this level if he stays fit. That's your Dwight Gale replacement. Dean Garner from West Ham coming in. Willock from Portugal. Options up front. Pereira as well. Very excited about this Brazilian dude who's going to play inverted winger. I think Millwall had already done all of their business. They look sorted. We think Millwall will probably score more points at home than they will away from home. I know that goes for most teams, but particularly with Millwall, difficult place to go. I think West Brom at home is going to be a difficult game for a lot of teams. Let's go for a West Brom home win in this one. Although Bilic needs to figure out what his attacking, like maybe he'll rotate, we'll see. But Austin, we expect goals from that guy up top, don't we? Birmingham versus Bristol City. Predictions in down the side, if you would be so kind. Birmingham won with an XG of 0.01 last week. How about that for you XG lovers? Charlie wants a West Brom score. I think they might even win by 2, Charles. So yeah, I think I'm sure of a West Brom win in that one. Anyway, Bristol City got beat up by Leeds last week. New faces at Blues. 5 Spaniards in now for Pep. Clotet. Sunjic eased in. He's the one they want to see up at Blues. Bellingham as well made a debut. 16 years old, Bellingham in the League Cup. And as I did my notes earlier, Jeff Montero as well arrives from Swansea on loan. So interest in these Blues owners. They have kind of given a fair bit of that Che Adams money over to Pep Clotet. Mixed in the feed here. Bristol City, they seemingly have turned their team upside down. And again, I keep saying I like a 2-year plan where you gradually add to your team. It strikes me Bristol City have taken out a couple of key, well, really, Webster, Kelly, and then Marlon Pack late on. 3 key men really going for something different, Lee Johnson. So we're expecting a whole new central midfield by the end of the season, really. Adam Nagy, the Hungarian, is in. 18-year-old Han Noah Masengo, £7 million on an 18-year-old. Bristol City have spent. I guess if Lee Johnson's not going to throw this guy under the bus, he's got to put him in very, very sparingly. Pedro Pereira's coming in at right back. Benica Phoebe as well up front to play with. No, I guess I'd imagine it will still be Casey Palmer off the front, especially now Patterson's gone. Casey Palmer off the front, although O'Dowda played off the front. Looks like they'd suit a 4-2-3-1 now, wouldn't it? If they got this Hungarian dude and this young dude, and I don't know. Although that means Jeju may start a front 2 of Jeju and a Phoebe, which would be full of pace and power there. So who knows what we'll see from Lee Johnson. Casey Palmer could play out wide. Having said all of that, he's got a bit of sorting out to do unless he's got this big plan. Although what big plan involves right at the last minute? Key players, Adam Webster particularly, and Marlon Pack I would have had if they were there to play 30-40 games for Bristol City. All of that being said, Birmingham didn't play well to win last week, did they? They're bedding in people. I don't want to go with a whole load of draws in the predictions. Let's go for Birmingham. Let's go for Birmingham to that Bristol City won't be ready with all the new players and with big names like Pack and Webster not there. I like the look of the young Bristol City centre-half I saw last week, whose name I'm going to forget. Tyler Moore, am I right about that? Nice to see two young centre-halves playing in that game. On we go, Cardiff versus Luton. I loved visiting Luton last week. 3-3, absolute madness. And Luton's pattern of play was nice. They transitioned quickly, passed the ball well. I can see what Nathan Jones is trying to do at Stoke, but Luton obviously do it a load better at the moment. So spectacular curtain raiser there. Cardiff going, thank you to the Luton fan, says I'm always welcome. I will be there again very, very soon, I'm sure. I just live up the road. So Cardiff adding in Pack to their experienced lineup. Isaac Vassell, we know Warnock for years and years. He always has 4 or 5 strikers, all that he can call on. There, out goes Bobby Reid on loan to Fulham. Reid, strong player at this level. Interesting that they let him go out. I'm not going to question Neil Warnock. He knows what he's doing. Luton, a couple of good signings from them. Real upgrades for Luton as well. Izzy Brown just couldn't get going at Leeds last year. Couldn't get fit. He's going to play in the 10 position, you'd think, in the diamond. James Bree, I know all about from his loan at Ipswich last year. He's a good player. And when you play a tight, narrow midfield, you need a young, fit right back. And as much as I admire Martin Craney, who we saw loads for Sheffield United last year on loan there, he's not going to get up and down like Bree will. So that's an upgrade there, and Craney maybe can be used in at centre-half. Luke Bolton, I don't know a lot about, looks like a centre midfield. Oh, Craney shout for the base of the defensive midfield. What's that? Penny Ruddock in that position at the moment. So we'll see how that Luton, but they've got options now, Luton, which is good. That said, Warney's not going to be happy after losing at Wigan, and I think a home game for Cardiff, I think they will expect to win this one. Oh, Pelly comes forward. Thank you for your knowledge there, IOKB. Obviously a knowledgeable Luton fan in there. I like the look of Shinnie as well. Who was the guy, smarten me up, the guy who came on as a sub, carried the ball really quickly, played number 10. Can't think of his name. Looks like Luton have got some good players in there. I think they'll be okay if they stick to their guns. Monker is exactly who I'm thinking of. Really direct player. I like the look of him if he can get a 90-minute game together rather than 20 minutes or whatever he got. Middlesbrough, who we just mentioned playing at Luton last week, have got Brentford. Talk to me in the feed. Borough, Luton have the B-Tech Shinnie, says Ewan. He's talking about Graham Shinnie, obviously playing for Derby. That's Ewan's words, not mine. Borough versus Brentford. Get your thoughts in the feed here for Borough. New look Borough did look different to Pulis Borough. I quite like the look of it, I think. Dyke's still in at right back. They were playing Johnny Howson at right back, so they needed a full back there. I like what Woodgate was attempting. The midfielders were carrying the ball. Inverted wingers, although Fletcher needs to prove to me he's actually a wide player, does still have the air of a forward playing out wide rather than a bespoke in that position. Brentford, I'm not sure about this. I give them huge thumbs up for the amount of money they can raise. I just don't want to see it being too much turnover and they're rubbish for 2 months and then get really good, but it's too late towards the end of the season. So Mbuemo came in the week. Thompson Yearwood yesterday. Mopai's sale makes the total incomings for Brentford 35 million. You have to applaud the way they turn over so much money, but is it too much turnover in players? But Brentford fans and Championship fans, surely everyone in the feed here loves the Championship. Ben Rama is staying. Ben Rama's going to be a great player. Well, he's staying till January at least. If he's fit and firing, pay your money to go and watch Ben Rama. What a great player he is. Could Brentford go up there and dominate possession? I don't know. Let's go for a silly away win here. Brentford to win away at Borough. And Michael says Ben who? Ben Rama to do it there if he's fit. I'm not sure he's fit. He was photographed in a Brentford shirt yesterday. Anyway, we'll see. Fulham versus Blackburn. God, look at this Fulham first team now. I'm going to this game. I want to be entertained, Mr. Parker. I want to see Fulham in full Jokanovic piss-take mode like they used to be. So both teams lost last week, so get your predictions in. Fulham down the side. This is ridiculous now. I know Sessegnon's gone. I think they held on about as long as they could. But at their disposal now, Arter, Kearney, Johansson, Bobby Reid has come in, Harrison Reid as well. Josh Onoma's permanent from Spurs. Not to mention this Cavaliero, Knockhart, Mitrovic. Mitrovic is only 24. I looked that up today. Got to be the most saleable asset in the league. Fulham are going down, says Blindside. I think Fulham are going to be a lot of fun. Alfie Mawson at the back is good. Adoy got promoted with them. Fulham should really piss this, shouldn't they? But Scott Parker's inexperienced. Everyone says to me each week, Ben, remember Darren Moore last year? He had Barnes, Gale and Rodriguez, and ultimately West Brom didn't go up. So maybe we'll see the same thing. If Fulham get that midfield, you'd think even Arter might even be an upgrade on McDonald. I don't know who's going to be the sitter there. Kearney at this level should have a cigar on and, pipe and slippers at this level. There you go. We'll see what pattern of play Fulham gets them going. Blackburn slipped at home to Charlton last week. Fairly quiet on the transfer front. Anyone else a bit worried about Blackburn? I know they spent money on Gallagher, but no real discernible improvement in quality. I know they've got more experience with Bradley Johnson and Stuart Downey, but they didn't want to start losing at home to Charlton, and they don't want to get rammed down in there. George, hang around. It's a great question. We'll do questions. We've got one more game to go. I've got to back Fulham, but I just want loads of goals. I want 4-3 or something if this is the game I'm doing for my I have just witnessed of the weekend. Hull versus Reading. Guys, help me out in the chat with this one. This is officially the first bottom six clash of the season. No offence to both teams. That's what the table says. Hull went down to Swansea last week. Pennington, who I really like, he was on loan at Ipswich last season. He's got to sort himself out now. He's 24, loan after loan after loan. Alfie says 2-0 Reading. Robin says 1-1. Reading for the win, says George in the feed here. Elders coming permanently. Lopez from Wigan. McGuinness, the big lump up front. Hull kept Bowen and Grzycki. How did they manage to do that? Surely those two players alone should see you out of the bottom six at least if they stay fit. Reading, explain this. I know we've got a couple of Reading fans in the chat. Reading self-imposed embargo. No big sales out. I'm getting a load of heat for saying I didn't have M&S up north. I'm never going to live that down. Apparently M&S originates up north and I put my foot right in it there. I love my M&S when I'm on my away trips. Alfie says, so Ejaria comes in back on loan. Fine, that makes sense. Rafael, new goalkeeper. Puskas, not Ferenc Puskas, but Puskas from, I don't know what his first name is, from Inter for £7 million and Lucas João for £5 million. Where does all the money come from? Although I'm beginning to think that maybe the best route for teams is spend and sell, like Brentford are doing. You can't just sit there like Ipswich did for years, not spend, and gradually the parachute teams all just wear you down. George Puskas, thanks Alfie. So we know Lucas João 1 minute can look like Messi and the next minute can look like Jonathan Douglas or something. So we'll see what he does, but going to be interesting. Let's hope it's chaos there and Grzycki plays well, Bowen plays well, João plays well, and who's the other unpredictable guy? Barrow plays well. And let's hope it's a very high scoring draw up at Hull this particular week. Right. I'll do the questions that were sent in on YouTube and then we'll do some questions in the feed. Charles says he thinks it'll be a tight game. I'm hoping it'll be all over the place because that's the game I want to see. So let's just get the iPad out of the way. Thomas, who I think was in the chat, Yorkshire Derby, why the Barnsley allocation for the Derby is small. That surprises me because they've got a huge end there for away fans. Must be a policing thing there. Jam says, thoughts on Swansea's transfer business? A lot stronger depth-wise necessary than first team. That's a really interesting point. So I guess he's right that they have got more depth but less star power. It's all about pattern of play for Swansea and keeping up what they were doing next year. That said, if the guy who came back on loan, the Spanish guy, Borja, and I forget his surname. Someone help me out in the chat. Then he might replace a number of McBurney goals. Let's see. But Baston, thank you, Hip to Game. I'm thumbs in the middle for Swansea's transfer deadlines. Animation Station. Do I know why Jack Harrison is starting over Jack Clark? Clark, in my opinion, the better of the two. I believe Bielsa likes players who can follow his instruction, his incessant instructions, and these periods of transition that he rehearses and all of this stuff. I think Harrison can do that. Clark's a bit more of an X factor. So yes, I totally agree that Clark is a better player than Harrison. But every team has these players where managers just love them. Freddie Sears for Ipswich. Every time he'll get picked because he follows instructions and does what he's told. And I think Jack Harrison should be in that kind of ilk. Jaggy Babs. Are there any transfers you think could be a bad thing to the team? Harrison at Leeds springs to mind for me. Rooney's wages at Derby. I'll let the chat sort that one out. How's Afobe going to do at Bristol City? We'll see about that one. What about Marlon Pack as well? Look, really interested in these Bristol City ones. And where's Bobby Reid, position-wise, going to fit in? Is he just going to be one of the front three at Fulham? Yeah, so who would you say has had the best transfer window? Jordan Smith in the Championship. The feed has got to answer that. Best transfer window. I know. I tell you what, I think Luton have improved the quality of their first team, which is what a transfer window. Brentford have definitely raised the most money. I think Leeds have done well to keep continuity and add quality. Fulham have really improved their first team, but we know that can come a cropper. Hip to Game says Charlton have had a good one, especially in the midfield. A lot of people have had a good. Reading have added quality. Brentford raised the most money, says Joshua. There's an argument for everything, and we've got to see by Christmas, haven't we? Bristol City have made more than Reading. Yeah, they probably had pound for pound, says Joshua, with that huge Webster. And although it hasn't, might want to check those numbers, Joshua, because Brentford 18 million for Mopai and 12 million for Konza. We will see. How do you believe Birmingham's new signings will do? Asks Matty Flembo. I am no expert on a lot of these Spanish players. Really excited to see Sunjic play. I said in one of my chats the other day, Wolves did it the Portuguese way, Forest are trying the Portuguese way, Birmingham were trying the Spanish way, Norwich did it the German way, Huddersfield did it the German way. So who knows what's going to happen with those Birmingham signings. Very exciting. Right, any questions in the feed? I will take them, and then we're all going to go and hopefully watch Liverpool give Norwich a lesson. Nobody's doing it the English way, says H. Huss. It's too expensive, isn't it? Huddersfield getting fined. Are they going to get fined about the Paddy Power stunt? I think that would show a big lack of a sense of humour. SZN says Blackburn the Brexit way. Most squad depth in the Championship. That looks like West Brom now, George is asking, particularly across the front there. But then even teams like Huddersfield, you look. Top six predictions, God, we'll see that. Which team underperformed in the first weekend? Got to be Fulham, hasn't it? With that team, Fulham need to be winning. Those two teams, no offence to Barnsley. I know Barnsley probably got better pattern of play at the moment, but Fulham should be winning against an ex-League One team, shouldn't they? So credit to Barnsley, but in terms of underperformance, we'll go for Fulham there. Let's see if there's any more questions come in the chat. Obviously, everybody needs to follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. Have my predictions changed now the window's closed? Yeah, Joshua, you're not going to like this. I've got Bristol City a bit lower, and I've got Brentford a bit lower. First manager to be sacked. Looks like the Stoke guy at the moment. Who do I see winning the Premier League? I know nothing about the Premier League. Manchester City. Someone asked me a question about Wigan being strong at home. Yes, I do think they can keep that. Last season, Sheffield Wednesday did the British, but that's a good point. Yeah, misconduct for Paddy Power. There you go. Where have I got Wednesday? Where did I have them? Top half, I think. Joshua agrees with me. Good, I didn't. Thoughts on QPR? Really interested to see that because it didn't work at Forest. Warburton needed time, and he did not get the time. So I think he's a smart guy, and I think he'll get more time at QPR than certainly anyone ever gets at Forest. You only tend to get 1 year at Forest. So interesting to see how QPR do. I think Naki Wells coming in will be good for them. Interesting to see how Eze does. Robin thinks Blackburn might go down. When you see all of this transfer movement, Blackburn haven't done a lot, have they? Casilla to score a crazy Own goal, yes, of course Casillas going to drop an absolute clanger at some point, but it's key in the way he plays, isn't it? Miles says you're lucky to get 1 year at Forest. No one's done more than 1 year since, well, God knows when. Forest fan, I'm sure will tell us. Think Huddersfield will be in a relegation battle? No, I think Huddersfield will have too much star power there, but they might have a struggle now. Moyes gone. Will Bolton stay up in League One? It's going to be a struggle with -12, isn't it? Pasta Macaroni. Will Cardiff be able to bully and set piece their way to promotion, or is the Championship more sophisticated? I thought the Championship was more sophisticated when Cardiff last did that. I never bet against Neil Warnock, so I think they can definitely do it. My take on it is a good team, creates a lot of chances and doesn't concede many chances, and you can do that by bullying and set plays like Cardiff might. Joshua says Cardiff shot themselves in the foot getting rid of Reed. A lot of people surprised about that one, so that may turn out to be true. Scariest Championship player, says George. Scariest Championship player. Aidan Flint. Sean Morrison. Alfie says, am I going to the Majayski this season? I was there for the Chelsea friendly. Alfie, I'll try and get down there very, very soon. Ben Pearson says, Joshua Jones, this is in a game. Oh God, yeah, Mitrovic in a fight, in a boxing match. Mitrovic would be terrifying, wouldn't he? Because he's big and lean. Borough manager might get sacked by Christmas, says Robin. Do you think? I think he needs time, Woodgate. Now the parachute money's gone, you just got to give managers time. And you'll hear me say it 1 billion times, 2-year plan. Austin, scariest player, is that Stone Cold Steve Austin or Charlie Austin? Am I going to the KPF this season? What's the KPF? Which stadium's the KPF? Mitrovic versus De Gea. Mitrovic every day. Although, they had a fight, did they? De Gea would have good reach, wasn't it? What's the KPF stadium? Let me know in the thing. Charlie Austin versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Right, any more questions or we will end the feed? Loftus Road, yeah, of course I'll be at Loftus Road. George, I work in Hayes, so when I do midweek games, Loftus Road and Brentford are actually my closest stadiums. Thoughts on Nketiah? Better than Roof, asked Jaggy Badge. He might be. He actually might be, mightn't he? Let's see if one of these Arsenal players can actually develop into a superstar. Apparently he's a different player to Roof, though. He's a real off-the-shoulder, out-and-out goal scorer type. So really excited to see him play. And Bielsa, really, he's a gambler, isn't he? All of those players. One to watch this season. Barnsley, let's say Barnsley. Do I buy any other club's kits? No, I don't even buy an Ipswich kit, actually. I like to wear ridiculous, loud shirts. QPR, Fulham, Brentford, Chelsea, Millwall, who do you prefer? I love going to... I never go to Chelsea. I love going to all of those for different reasons. Millwall, good fun with the fans. Brentford, the football. QPR under floodlights is really, really good. Fulham, I'll sound like a snob. I can actually take my missus and we can go for a walk down the river. She'll go for that at Fulham. Nice little away trip, as everybody always says. Although one of the stands is closed at Fulham this season, isn't it? So I don't know what that'll do to the atmosphere there. I think they're doing building work. Right, I'm going to have to go. Last Premier League game I attended with Ipswich. Oh, right, this will get you. Ipswich got relegated, I think, at home to Manchester United. Ruud van Nistelrooy dived for a penalty and scored it. It was 1-0. Roy Keane came on, who Ipswich fans now do not like, and absolutely took the piss for 30 minutes. I've never seen a central midfielder boss a game like Roy Keane did against Ipswich. We weren't very good. He was. Mrs. Ben could stroll down Deptford Creek at Millwall. Yeah, we could go down to the Aldi, couldn't we, there? And what do I think the stadium would be like at Brentford? I think it would be great. Jonathan says, can we do a competition for one of the followers to come to a game? Of course. Just DM me on Twitter and we'll do a game. Norwich lose by how many tonight, Ben? Oh, God, they'll probably win. They'll probably just make my life even harder and be really good in the Premier League like they were last season. Robin says, Norwich fans here, we lose 6-0. Hey, Norwich were a really good team last year, so they just need to do the same thing and that should win them enough points to stay up and not change their style of play, especially in their home games. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. Hit subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. If you like what I do, support me on Patreon. And as I think Jonathan just said, DM me. I'm always at games. Come and have a chat. If anyone wants to watch a game with me, give me a shout. And I will see you on, I'll try and figure this out, but I'll tweet it out Sunday, possibly. We'll do Sunday evening, I think, for the Championship review. Check out Fulham, my review, Fulham versus Blackburn this week. I'm going to go and find my Liverpool scarf. Now, that's a joke to the Norwich fans. Impartial football fan here. Thank you, everybody, for watching. See you soon.